Real quick, this is gonna have spoilers for Bioshock Infinite. This beginning entrance. I believe I've done everything right. I believe the trophy's gonna pop, but while we're in the middle of the most confusing part of the ending, I want to give this warning. An alternate timeline comes up. It's like, hey, no. Oh, there it is. Thank God. Oh, I got anxious for a second though. Just rack them all up. Rack them all up. Rack them all up. Cool. See you in a minute. I think if we're all honest with ourselves, change is something we're not. I think if we're all honest with ourselves, change is something we are all kind of afraid of. It takes the fear of the unknown, the fear of messing up, and the fear of loss, of stability, and combine them into one thing. And if there's anything people who fall in love with these series hate, it's change. This is the one that started my Funko Pop collection and continues our fear of change saga. It is a game that when I was going about making my list of 4 games that are face change head on, this is one of the games that I wasn't really sure about, right? Because going into it, I was like, is it actually that big of a change? Can anyone say that this is a huge change from what Bioshock already is? And I started kind of thinking about what Bioshock was and what it meant and what it became. And for me, even though Columbia is a beautiful city, even though when it came to getting Bioshock's representation in the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale game, they chose the Big Daddy, but they went with Columbia, which is a very different everything. And I decided that I was going to put this one on the list because when Columbia first got brought up, it was exciting. It was something different and something new. There's also something I just wasn't sure would go well. I remember when I first played it on the PS3, I had a good time with it, but I was also angry that key scenes from trailers never made it into the game. I remember being upset that they were just, the ending didn't really make sense. So when I picked it up for the PlayStation 4 as a part of the Bioshock collection, I was going into it already knowing the story, already knowing everything, but not having the Platinum Trophy for Bioshock Infinite on either system, which made it perfect for me to come in and take a swing at it for this series, for our Fear of Change series. Now, I do collect Pop Funko little figurines. I have about 38 of them currently, and how it kind of works is that every time I platinum a game, I pick up a that has a Pop Funko, I pick up the Pop Funko. It's kind of started because I got a Booker DeWitt Funko Pop, and I was like, this is cool, but it's kind of pointless. It really doesn't mean anything to me. Let's give it some meaning. Let's give this little trophy some meaning. So, I decided that I was going to hold on to it. I was going to keep it hidden. And I wasn't going to really do anything about it until much, much later. And it wasn't until I platinumed Assassin's Creed Syndicate and I picked up a Jacob Fry Pop Funko that I was like, okay, these are going to be my trophies. And not only were they my trophies, I was very excited about just being able to have them. And I have a whole setup now on my dresser that just shows off the all of my Pump Funkos, which is really fun and really cool. I really do appreciate them. One of my favorite moments is trying, as a part of my hunting and my journey that I do now, is seeing which one I'm gonna buy, which Pop Funko I'm gonna buy. Now, this does seem like an ad. It's not an ad. However, Funko Pop, if you want to sponsor me, please sponsor me because I like money too. They have become little trophies. They've become my physical platinum trophies, if you will. So with a Book of DeWitt, with a Skyhook becoming my first one, thanks to FYE putting him on sale for like $2 at the time, it was kind of perfect. So picking it up, I went into it. It's fun. So going into this field of change, this Metatheosophobia saga, I saw a pop figurine I had, but I couldn't really display because I didn't have the platinum trophy. I saw a game that I had beef with, but I already knew a good chunk of what I had to do, and therefore was like, alright, I can play this on hard and start us off from there. And was really okay with it. And personally, I absolutely love Bioshock as a series and as a franchise. And with rumors coming out with there possibly being a fourth one in the works, even though we haven't really seen or heard anything official, I figured, hey, if I'm ever gonna do Bioshock on the channel and not give it a BS title, I better do it here. And hey, why go under the sea when you can go into this air and be absolutely terrified? Now, I really did enjoy this game. I'm not gonna lie. The trophies are pretty simple. Almost everything you'd expect from a Bioshock-esque game if you played the first one. I just haven't really looked at the Bioshock 2's trophy list, so I'm going to be comparing this game a lot to the first Bioshock, which is the one that Ken Levine himself both worked on. So, that apples to oranges, in a way? I'm not quite sure. But in Bioshock, in the original, while you had to kind of focus on taking photographs as your key thing, and making sure that you had everything kind of taken care of, as well as picking up all of your, they're not called voxophones, what are they called? Recordings? I forgot what they're called in the first game. But picking up all the recordings that fill in the backstory, in this game you're pretty much doing a lot of the same things. Except when it comes from, learning how to manipulate and use your camera, in this game you're focusing on a lot of your battle tactics. A lot of the trophies in this game have to just deal with how you fight and how you play the game. You get trophies for using a skyhook, for killing enemies while using a skyhook, killing enemies while using a skyline, comboing your vigors together, I almost call them plasmids, and you get trophies for pretty much everything in this game, which isn't a bad thing. The trophies in this game are very much designed to be like, hey, try this out, which I'm a pretty big fan of. On this way, the list is almost perfect as a trophy list, because you do have trophies like, hey, just kind of explore and fuck around in our game, have a good time, appreciate the thing we've made, while at the same time you also have trophies that do kind of test you and push you to your limits and be like, alright, you want the platinum? Let's do this. The hardest trophy you're gonna be going after in this game is a trophy called No Sale, which you get for completing the 1999 mode. I don't know why I decided to play that, because you guys can't hear it, but I decided to play it. Which you get for completing the hardest difficulty without using the dollar bill vending machines. Now, on the plus side, you can use the dollar bill vending machines to kind of look even though that kind of seems like playing with fire to me. And you can also possess it to get extra silver eagles. Now the silver eagles in the Bioshock in the 1999 mode are probably your most useful resource, and therefore kind of makes 1999 mode more of a money management game than facing in the hard mode. I did play it on hard mode for my first playthrough since I've already beat the game on the PS3. I kind of knew what I was getting into, and I figured, hey, if I can get this platinum trophy in only 2 playthroughs, let me do that. So I did. Ding! But there isn't a huge jump from difficulty from the hard mode to the 1999 mode. And it feels like the only difference is the money situation, and pretty much it's gonna cost you 100 silver eagles every time you die to respawn. And if you don't have that money, which I discovered pretty early on in the game, you get booted out of the game, and it just sends you back to the main menu, which you then have to go through all of it all over again. Which that alone is kind of annoying. But if you're playing careful and if you're playing smart, you're not going to have that hard of a time. Now, I do kind of have some beef with people who have been making guides for this 1999 mode, especially with the no sale trophy. Because a lot of the guys I was seeing and I was looking at was a guy that was like, hey, for the siren fights, Lady Comstock, which was the only fight that I really struggled with at all in the game, was like, hey, these are the pieces of gear that you need to kind of go into this. If you do it right, you can finish up these fights in about 40 to 50 seconds, and they won't give you too much of a hassle. However, all of the guys that I kind of saw, whether it be on PSN profiles or just wherever, had gear that's labeled as random, like the spawn locations randomly change, which I guess, but that also meant that in my 1999 playthrough, the quote-unquote best way of getting the trophy was literally impossible for me, because all the locations were random, and I could not control what item I was getting and where the game was kind of going. So on my first hard mode playthrough, I was getting really frustrated with the Siren playthrough, with the Siren boss fight, when you first encounter her in the graveyard. So I said, fuck it. In the original Bioshock game, there was a glitch in it where you could put the game on easy, play through the entire thing on easy difficulty, and then right before the end credit, as you're putting the last bullet into Atlas, you could hit pause, put it on ultra hard difficulty, and as long as you didn't die on the game, you would get the trophy for not dying, and you would get the I chose the impossible trophy, which was one that was kind of difficult, but 100% doable. As you saw earlier in this video, no, that didn't work. When I ended up doing that, it locked all the difficulty back down to easy, as if that was the only difficulty I had played it, which did kind of put a hamper on my mood. It wasn't something that completely killed it, but it was something that made me a little bit more uneasy to play it again. Now, that is 100% my fault. I tried to play smart with the game and kind of circumnavigate it, but it didn't work, which is why I'm so thankful I did it on my hard mode difficulty, as well as the 1999 mode, stacking all the previous difficulties onto one playthrough. So even though after the one Lady Comstock fight, I did switch it back to hard difficulty, so I did know more or less what I was getting into, none of the trophies popped until, as you saw earlier in the video, then. Which, okay, fine, you got me, 2K. My hubris bit me in the ass. Fair. But in the end, it wasn't a big deal. Now, I do recommend for all the combat trophies of kind of just knowing which ones you have to do. You pretty much have to get a set number of kills with each weapon variant, and get kills using different just different things that are happening while you play the game, which that in itself can get easily annoying, but the game does track them for you, and every time you hit a milestone while working on the trophy, it pops up. It's like, hey, by the way, you're about halfway through. By the way, you only have 2 more. And it ends up being really intuitive and really nice as I was going through. Like, okay, I need to start looking for a different weapon because I'm about to finish this one. And that's the other thing. As long as you're switching out your weapons constantly, you're not going to have a problem with any of these. I actually got almost all of my combat trophies in the first playthrough I did, leaving my second playthrough on 1999 mode to be okay, I know which weapons I like, I know what I like, how I like to play, how I like to do things. All I have to do is now get through. I also played with a guide on my first playthrough because I'd already played through the game originally, so I knew what the story was, how everything kind of worked. So playing on the first one with a guide, I specifically used the PS4 Trophies YouTube channel for the guide, just like I did back on the first Bioshock, to get it through. And all my trophies popped. Now, because I'm playing on the PS4, there is a trophy that just is given to you, which is really nice. It is the Dress for Success trophy, which you get for equipping 4 different pieces of gear: a hat, a shirt, a pants, and a boots. You actually get that by the end of your first main chapter in the game, and the game just gives it to you because it recognizes that you're using a season pass, so it's not that big of a deal. As well, with the infusions, you actually get 5 bonus infusions, which still isn't enough to, fully upgrade everything, which I found personally to be really fucking annoying, because I just wanted to be fully kitted out by the end of it at least once, because I knew in my 1999 mode I wasn't going to be, and I'm like, I just want to feel greatness just once. And with this game being that you do have to go ahead and be a completionist and 100% everything, I was really annoyed with the fact that I had to be a completionist, but I couldn't be 100% upgraded, which was really annoying. The other thing that I did enjoy of the game is because I had to do one playthrough. I did 2 playthroughs back to back. I was able to pick up on a lot of the kind of references and foreshadowings and the hints they kind of put in for later in the game that I just didn't notice the first time. It's a slight spoiler I'm going to tell, but, it is a 6-year-old game at this point. But I do highly recommend you play it. There's a moment in the game where Elizabeth, your companion, who absolutely love her, is called Anna by mistake. And it's a really cute thing. And if you've played the game, you know why that ends up being important, and you know why that's a really cool little note that you might not have caught on the first playthrough, because I didn't. But playing it again on the second playthrough, technically my third playthrough between the 2 systems, I picked up on it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. As well as kind of just sitting back and looking into all of the references and things that you kind of see, you see just how well thought out everything in Colombia is. As you kind of like look through this section right here, as I'm stopping and kind of pausing and giving you guys a good look, you get to see pretty much everything that's happening in the game, and you get to see all of the environment that gets built into it. You see the fox that you end up fighting later on in the game. You see parts of Heroes, the Hall of Heroes, which is another thing that kind of gets brought up later in the game. These mechanical horse things, which honestly super confuse me, but they do end up playing more environmental roles later in the game. It's all these little touches in these opening sequences that, because I was kind of just like, I just need to get everything, I need to kind of blast through it, I did miss. I really enjoyed seeing it the third time. You know, and just little things like that that I really did appreciate. Now, when I was playing this game, there was one trophy I was really worried about, because my first attempt to kind of just like give it a gander, I completely messed it up. And what that trophy was the Lost Weekend trophy. It's a trophy you get for killing 5 enemies while drunk. Now, there aren't a lot of instances for you to get plastered in this game, so you kind of have to be quick on your feet. I ended up looking up a guide for this one, just because I'm like, I have absolutely no idea how you do this, good friend. And how you end up doing it is you have to go to Shantytown in the bar, hold a fire trap in your hand as you just continue to just chug down drinks. Hey pretty lady. Also, I do want to just give a quick shout out to these bottles because they all look really cool. And I pretty much just had a drink of drugs out of a statue's tip, which is kind of cool. I'm not going to get demonetized because I said the word tip. So there was that. But holding it down, get absolutely plastered. That'll piss off a lot of the enemies. And once your vision kind of goes blurry, release your trap and you should end up killing 4 to 5 enemies in there. If you don't end up killing 4 enemies easily, you'll be able to just hop right in and it won't be an issue. Now, part of the reason why I played this game, on top of the whole pop figurine and on top of literally everything else, is because I wanted the fact that this game was all about change and variables and what stays the same and what isn't was really on the nose for this series that I wanted to do. For this entire, fear of change saga. And I really did appreciate it. But I do kind of want to address something of an elephant in the room and something that I couldn't quite shake while playing it. It's actually kind of come into play. This game and this world, the city of Columbia, is hella racist. Not saying that the creators are, please don't mistake my words, but the world itself is. And when you kind of sit yourself on this, America is the greatest thing the world has ever seen, it is really annoying on how that ends up being the case. And I think that now with a 2019 view on it, after not playing the game myself for a while, it definitely feels different now playing this game than when I originally played it back in 2013. I don't know what that says about it, but I had a good time. I gave me an excuse to have all of the pop figurines I actually own now to be an actual platinum trophy, and I loved it. But yeah, I'm not gonna say I didn't think of America and how we currently are standing right now. I'm also not gonna think of a certain Cheeto-crusted president. But yeah, even though you can't hear what the characters are saying in this moment right here, it gets super racist in about a minute or so. And yeah, it felt a little Alco Taco, the whole kind of thing. And it was something that I feel like we should have moved on, but we haven't, and instead we've kind of regressed. So not only was I thinking about change, am I thinking about my pop figurines the entire time playing it, I started getting kind of political, which is not something I wanted to do. Look at this nonsense. Just, it makes me uncomfortable. But, it was a lot of fun, and I really did enjoy this game. So I'm trying to think of other trophies that gave me a really hard time I talked about the no sale trophy. I talked about the um talked about the last weekend trophy. Had the bulk of the trophies. Yeah. So for the most part, like that's like it's a pretty straightforward trophy. Um, I wish I didn't have to be a completionist, but you know, it ends up happening. The other thing, the one last thing I do want to mention is that with the infusions you end up getting, you don't have to collect all of them if you're playing on the PS4 with a season pass. They actually end up giving you 5 just on the house, and even with those 5, it's still not enough to kind of get the job done. Which personally, like I've already mentioned, just annoyed me even more. Oh, this game is brutal, by the way. Like, you end up having to kill, I think, like 20 enemies with your skyhook, and just this alone does a lot in that regards. But yeah, so you have a little bit of racism, you have a little bit of this, you have a little bit of that, and you end up having a fun time. I did have a fun time playing the game. I should probably tell you that with the 1999 mode, if you're gonna play the 1999 mode, and if you're gonna go for the no sale trophy, there were 2. The load up I ended up using for that playthrough was possession. Always had possession on me. If nothing else, just to get an enemy kind of out of the way, was absolutely amazing. Then my next thing that I always end up using was, for the most part, I always ended up using Devil's Kiss. The reason why I ended up using Devil's Kiss was, by the time I finished upgrading it and kind of putting it through its paces, it ended up being super powerful and a pretty good deal. The other weapon I ended up using as well the most was the sniper rifle, just because it let me like not be anywhere near the enemies. And in 1999 mode, when you are trying to save your money, it ended up being really helpful to not be right on top of everyone every 5 seconds. So that's the kind of load I suggest if you want to kind of push this. Do this yourself. The other thing I ended up doing was I ended up using a lot of the I am getting shot up ish was that I ended up using the shotgun a lot. It was one of the cheaper options to upgrade, and so it made the whole money management thing pretty simple. And that was pretty much it. When I'm going through the playthrough for what's her name, Lady Comstock, there was a gear, that's what it's called, the name's awful, a gear that I got that was actually super helpful, and it was called a gear called Overkill. And what Overkill does is that when you're low on health, killing an enemy actually gives you a bunch of health back, which, if it wasn't for that, I would not have made it through the last sections of the game. Specifically Lady Comstock's fight and the fight on the Hannah Prophets just would not have happened in the slightest, which is a bit of a shame that the game gives you all these options and be like, hey, use your abilities, and then chokes you while doing it. So that's annoying. The other thing I do want to bring up is that a big thing that helped me while on my 1999 playthrough, my no-sell 1999 playthrough, is the realization that you don't have to kill every enemy. A lot of the time you can kind of just run through it and you'll end up being okay. There are just a good chunk of enemies that you don't have to kill and you don't have to, put any harm into. Like this. Perfect example, I can just run through there, have my turret kind of do that, and hit leave area. Is it the most heroic way of doing it? No, but it is a step that, honestly, once they realize that enemies don't just pursue to the end of the world was a huge blessing. Now, this is something that I want to talk about. This is where you can get your your gear. This, by the end of the time you leave this room, and you cannot leave this room, by the way, until you pick up all the infusions and at least 4 different pieces of gear. You can't leave this room. Game doesn't let you. I tried, doesn't happen. As you also saw that the notice on the board. So as long as you're keeping that in mind, that this is an instant trophy pickup, and everything else I've kind of laid out for you, you shouldn't have a problem with it. Now, I will say that playing this game on the 1999 difficulty isn't hard. It's more of just being much more patient, knowing that you're not going to be able to go gung-ho. And because I was playing it with this mode kind of activated, I was able to, you know, customize my gear to help me out with certain trophies that I was doing, which that alone made things really easy. The extra gear as well just always ended up giving me money, which for every Voxophone I ended up picking up, I ended up getting some cash, which was super helpful, being that cash is going to keep you in the game. It is something that, you know, if you're going to do this, I'd highly recommend holding on to, but it's not completely imperative. As long as you're kind of like walking around and being aware that you have to do these things, it's not going to be the end of the world if you don't have it on. A lot of this game, none of the trophies are really difficult. It's just a matter of being aware of what you're doing and knowing that certain trophies aren't going to give you a lot of opportunities to do them. Like the skylines, as long as you are on a skyline, you should be trying to get headshots, because the bolt from the blue trophy is a bit of a bitch. How I recommend doing that is just taking your time. If you're all going to do 2 playthroughs, definitely do on your first playthrough, because 1999, if you're doing a 1999 playthrough, needs to 100% be about burning and just moving. No rest for the wicked. Keep going. Explore as much as you feel necessary, but it is possible to kind of lock yourself out of certain things and kind of stop your progress from continuing if you're not managing your resources properly. Now, is it a huge risk? No, it's not. You can always do a chapter select and rewind so you have the resource in a much better position than what you would have been otherwise. But if you do want to kind of just do it as optimally as possible, you're gonna want to keep track of all your resources and specifically your money, so you can keep going. I know in the Comstock fight inside of the bank, I'm 90% sure the game just said, hey, we pity you because you've been here for at least 2 hours. We're just going to give this to you. Which, you know, might not be the best thing for me to come out and say that I needed that much help with that fight. Only because I couldn't pay for any supplies, and that's how I did on my hard difficulty. I just sniped her until she stopped existing. See, not every situation needs to be a fight. Something that, you know, didn't really pay attention to my first playthrough, but definitely paid attention to my second. Yeah, but while most trophies, most games have a test of skill in some regards, this game really just has it be aware of what you need to do and what the game is asking of you. None of the trophies are too difficult, with a notable exception going to the aforementioned no sale trophy, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I am immensely proud of this game, of this platinum trophy, and I absolutely love it. And I want to thank you guys for watching. even though this one was a huge departure from the original Bioshock, I really did enjoy it, and it felt like enough of Bioshock, like enough of the same kind of mechanics. That was like, oh, okay, yes, this is something a completely different scenario and a completely different gameplay with the whole skylines and everything. But at the end of the day, it still feels like a Bioshock game. Bioshock, turns out, is not tied down to Rapture, and it in fact can be much more than that if you let it be. Now, I'm done. I've said my bit. I've talked probably for too much on this game. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What other games do you want me to play? Oh, this is also a good moment for setting up traps, because throw that down there. Boom! Bunch of people are dead. And because of that, I popped the trophy there my first playthrough. But yeah. Let me know if there's any other games you really want me to platinum. Any other suggestions you think I should go for. I'm always on the lookout for not only for a challenge, but just for something that I haven't done before. And I'll see you guys in the next video.